Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Top Rope Podcast. Yeah, what do we want to talk about? Let's go. Woo! WWE Summerslam is our number one topic here on this episode of TRP. Giving you my predictions, how I think things might go down, or how I would book them at SummerSlam coming up this weekend. I want to talk about CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, right out of the gate with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. I was pretty excited about this match and still am excited about this match. But I don't know about Seth Rollins being the special ref. It's interesting to me that he is a special ref. I'm interested in seeing what he does, how he might try to screw over one guy and then maybe screw over the other guy. I'm interested in that, but I think it's taking away and could take away from the match between Punk and Drew McIntyre. They absolutely hate each other. I get Rollins is right in that mix. He has a reason to hate both guys. I just think that maybe this should have been a triple threat with the way things went down on Monday. And Rollins saying, yeah, he was basically gonna do whatever he wants and feels like, yep, whatever I'm gonna do it. And yep, it's all about me, and what I'm going to do. And I just think it's taken away from Punk and Drew and their rivalry. I think they could have threw Seth in there and had it fit really nicely into being a triple threat. And at first I was like, that was the ideal that I had. And then I was like, oh, Rollins is going to be the special guest referee. I was like, oh, why didn't I think about that? That makes total sense that he could be the special guest referee. But then now I'm kind of like, after what happened on Monday, I'm kind of back to where I was, or just leave Rollins out of the equation altogether, because I'm more focused now on what Rollins is going to do rather than Punk and McIntyre hating each other. Now, we could very well easily get to Saturday and then seeing those two guys and the hatred that they have, then maybe it all works out and it all is fine and dandy and they have a great match. Who's going to win this thing, though? I don't know. Be honest with you, I have no idea. And I love it. That's what I love about professional wrestling, when it's not predictable and going into this thing. So if I don't know who I think is going to win, who I think WWE, my official predictions, and I just have to go and tell you how I would book it. And how I would book it, we're going to have to work through that. Because again, I'm just not sure based on what's gone down so far. I mean, I don't know who I should love and who I should hate in this thing. I see everybody's point on why they would hate the other guy. You know, CM Punk clearly hates Drew because, the wristband with his dog and his family on there. And because he took him out and said he was happy about taking out, bragged about taking CM Punk out. He said he prayed that would happen. And that's pretty despicable stuff. So, to me, then, all right, cool. I'm supposed to root for CM Punk. But then, again, everything that Punk's done to Drew since then, screwing him out of the world title 3 times now, I kind of feel bad for Drew. So, man, I don't know. I don't know who wins this thing. I'm gonna say Drew keeps getting screwed over. If they really want him to be the bad guy in this, yeah. If he gets screwed over again, yes. Might he get sympathy? Might people actually want to cheer for him because he got screwed over again? Yes, because I think they already have. But I think CM Punk does win this thing. Maybe Rollins does. No. I wouldn't have Rollins help Punk because those two hate each other, and we want to go back to that at some point, do we not? With the hatred, the real life animosity between Rollins and Punk, but the only reason I was thinking and saying that is because Punk is supposed to be the baby face in this and Rollins is a baby face. Then you got one baby face helping out the other baby face to beat the heel. But again, it's like, I don't know. It's to me, the who's the heel, who's the baby face here is not clearly defined. And I know I talk a lot about I'm old school a lot. And I like it when that happens. So when it doesn't, I don't know, I'm confused here. Ah, man. How does this one go down? Man, oh man. Another thing, I mean, to argue the other side with Rollins, though, being in there, it's like, okay, well, we don't know what he's going to do. So then that brings even more mystery into the equation because you don't want him to just help Drew either, because of his hatred for CM Punk, because then he's helping what looks to be the heel in all this. Man. I'm going to say Rollins pretty much calls it down the middle for quite a long time. This is how I would book it. Even though he said he was going to do whatever he wanted, I think they were just more alluding to the fact that could be, he's going to allow things to happen and it's going to be a brawl and he's going to let things go. But I do think he will actually end up calling it down the middle until close to the end. And I think he'll probably screw over both guys at some point. I think he screws over them both. And then we kind of get back to the clear reset of, all right, he screwed over them both. But now we're at the point where somebody has to win this thing. And if CM Punk, I'm going to go old school booking, if he is the babyface in all this, and Drew McIntyre, Drew McIntyre with what he said about CM Punk and the wristband and everything, the crowd does chant CM Punk a lot. Usually the story whenever that happens with the heel doing the bad stuff, usually the babyface comes out on top. But again, it's really been CM Punk that has kept screwing over Drew McIntyre. So I would want to see Drew McIntyre win, but I think that if he wins, then you are going to see a large... I think some people will cheer. I think some people will cheer for that because he finally got some comeuppance after everything that, CM Punk kept screwing him over, and he finally gets his comeuppance. It might come off as sort of a babyface type of finish about finally getting redemption, but both men sort of, I don't know. We just got pure hatred on both of these guys. And I think in the end, Punk does win because I don't think that they would want Drew to win and then have the crowd cheer for him if that's how they want to keep going with Drew McIntyre being the bad guy. But again, it could all depend on what's going to happen afterwards too. If Gunther is going to be the bad guy, if he does win the world title, Drew would be a good opponent for him to go against. If Drew's a babyface, like that would work. Like if CM Punk's going to win this rivalry, move on, have a one-on-one match with Seth Rollins, or maybe they hold that feud off after this and then revisit it. Maybe Rollins does screw Punk. Maybe we do get to a Rollins Punk at some point. And then what happened in this match with Rollins screwing over Punk and Drew being the winner? I just don't know about CM Punk's wrestling capability either. After such a long time off, he's injury prone. So do we want to have him win and knowing that who knows how many, if he's going to be able to stay healthy and continue on storylines, or he's just going to get hurt again and he's going to be out for a while. So you know what? I'm going with Drew. I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre in this one. And like I said, how it gets booked is Rollins screws them both over at some point. They do a reset and then Drew will hit the Claymore and then Rollins will, it'll be probably a slow count, but I do think he will count 1, 2, 3, Or maybe it's a fast count. Maybe he does screw over CM Punk, sets up the rivalry between them two guys eventually, and then Drew McIntyre, you know, maybe he does come out and get some cheers out of this, but then people still love CM Punk after this too. I don't know. It's all very confusing on all these guys, who's babyface, who's the heel. At least it is to me, because I feel bad for both of them and what they've done to each other. But that's what's making it really great too, is their hatred for one another and the depths that they're willing to stoop to screw the other guys over. In the end, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre, and this is one of the matches I am still, even though a little bit of a criticism, like I said, with a little more focus than is probably needed to be on Seth, but that's what happens when you have special guest referees. People do wonder, oh, are they going to call it down the middle? What are we going to be? Is it too much of a distraction, though, or not? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see at SummerSlam. All right, woo! Worked through that. Didn't we? Let's move on to the undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa. Cody Rhodes will definitely retain, and Roman Reigns will come back. All right, prediction, moving on to the next match. Just kidding. Let's break it down. Break it down. No. That's not what we're talking about. Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa. I do think Roman Reigns is coming back. And I don't think he needs any help in being a babyface. At all. Because I could sit here and argue that, well, and maybe I still will argue that, well, maybe he comes in and helps Cody Rhodes retain this championship against Solo Sikoa. But after everything the Bloodline put Cody Rhodes through, it really wouldn't make much sense for Roman Reigns to do that from Cody Rhodes' side of things and saving Cody Rhodes, but it would make sense. It's not necessarily Roman's coming out there to help Cody Rhodes. He's coming out there to screw over Solo Sikoa. And I do think, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's after the match. I don't know. Maybe we'll just have a really great match. Cody Rhodes goes over clean. And then to end SummerSlam, Roman Reigns comes back, and him and Solo standing eye to eye, face to face with one another. You know, talking about CM Punk, like when he came back, that's what he did. He didn't even make it to the ring. After the Royal Rumble, just standing there. Roman Reigns could do that, but I would like him to get in the ring and give that one-on-one stare down with Solo Sikoa. Because if something happens and the Tongas get involved and Fatu gets involved and they are screwing over Cody Rhodes, like, and then Roman does come down to help, like, again, it would be a little bit weird. He's coming to help Cody, but it would make sense that he's coming out there to screw Solo Sikoa out of it. And this obviously just all depends on how they want to go with it after that, and they can explain it however they want. And Roman could explain that he's wasn't out there to help Cody, but then you know, that takes away from him. I just think they should ignore that. I think they should ignore that. There's no need to do that. I don't think it would really hurt Roman if he explained that. I still think he's going to get enormous pops. People have been waiting, but why even take the chance of detracting from his big baby face comeback with him coming out there and helping Cody, but then him saying, well, I wasn't out there to help Cody. I was just out there to screw over Solo. I don't book it that way. I make Cody Rhodes look strong. Yeah, I mean, but if he overcomes the Bloodline, though, too, another thing we got to think about, if he does overcome all the Bloodline, maybe Kevin Owens, Randy Orton help him. Like, that would make more sense. We haven't seen either of those guys I don't think we've seen Orton in 3 weeks, maybe. Owens, maybe a week or 2. So they could, yeah, that's what I would do. That's how I'd book it. I'd have them guys even the odds against Solo Sikoa. Have them help Cody Rhodes retain. Maybe all those guys are just laid out. Or they fight to the back or something along those lines. Cody Rhodes wins. Cody Rhodes leaves. Solo's getting up. He's the only guy out there. And then boom. Roman Reigns music hits. And we see him come out, get in Solo's face. Maybe he doesn't say anything, or maybe he says, "You're not the tribal chief, I'm the tribal chief, and I'm back. And I'm back." And then boom, we got a whole storyline to run with the old bloodline versus the new bloodline, and then Roman Reigns, yep, he can bring slowly, you can do this in one of two ways. I mean, you could have Jimmy Uso come back too, and then we save Roman, but I think you have Roman come here. Everybody's been waiting for it. A little wonky with them having Solo say to Paul Heyman that Roman Reigns was never coming back. But then now he's saying, oh, if Roman Reigns does come back, and, there's kind of, to me, kind of giving it away. We even seen a picture, a little 2-3 second video when Solo was explaining that at the end of SmackDown, I believe it was. A 2-second video of Roman. So to me, they're kind of already giving it away that Roman is coming back at SummerSlam, unless they're trying to swerve us. That's a possibility as well, but I don't think they'd want to. You're not going to. Why would you swerve us on a babyface comeback and something that's going to make the crowd really pop off? So I think we see Roman here, and then I think we see slowly but surely we see the rest of the bloodline, Jimmy, Jay, and Sami Zayn, get back together with Roman to go up against Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. They can have their feud for a while. At some point, we're going to have to see Jacob Fatu break away. He pretty much do similar storyline that you did with Solo Sikoa. At one point, he was the enforcer, and then he wasn't. Like, man, what if, I don't know Roman's schedule, how long he wants to keep doing this, but yeah, what if he came back? What if they lost? What if they actually lost the rivalry, and then Solo did become the new? I mean, that would only be on contingency that Roman Reigns was going to do one last run and retire. I have no idea. I would think that he's had a lot of time off now. I think he's going to do another run. I would think he's going to be around for quite a long time. I think he's barely 40. If that. I think he's right around my age. Yeah. So I don't think he'd be retiring. So I think in the end of their feud, I think that the Roman and company, I don't know, they would probably come out on top, but then where does that leave Solo and them? I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. But that's how the best wrestling booking is done. It's like, in order to figure out what is happening or what's potentially going to happen at SummerSlam this Saturday or in the near future, whatever next show it is, we got to backwards book this thing and be like, okay, where are they trying to get to eventually? You have to know your end point in order to know what you want to do coming up with what's happening right now. And I think what'll happen this Saturday, just like I put it, Cody Rhodes retains with some help from KO and Randy Orton, and we just see a one-on-one stare down between Roman and Solo. I mean, or maybe we get The Rock. But I mean, really, it's like Roman, why would he come back? I mean, because of the tribal chief thing too, but you think he'd want to come back and get his championship back as well, right? So is there, with that in mind, is there a possibility at all that Solo wins this thing? Solo wins this thing because then, not only does he want to get the tribal chief back, then he would want to get the title back, and then you don't have to ignore or try to explain why he's going after Solo Sikoa and not the undisputed championship. And you could have him down the line, have Roman, Cody meet face to face, like, look, man, like, whatever. I don't know, he could apologize for everything you put him through, or just kind of acknowledge, like, man, like, I lost that championship to you, I put you through a lot, and now you've done a lot with the championship, like, whatever, I respect you. I respect you and what you've done since you beat me for that championship. Crowd pops, cool. Cody gives him a little nod, and then he says, well, I'm coming back for that championship at some point, but first, I got to get my tribal chief back from Solo Sikoa. Something along those lines. I'm just brainstorming here, guys. Just brainstorming here. But, I don't know. In the end, I think Cody retains and Roman returns. Moving on. Damian Priest versus the King General Gunther. Where's Ludwig Kaiser been, by the way? I love it. I love it. I'm not as big of a Gunther fan without him. Without Ludwig Kaiser announcing him, bringing him to the ring. But I get it. Kaiser was going to have a singles run before he got hurt. That's not what we're talking about here, though. Now we're talking about Priest and Gunther for the title. Damian Priest's run as champion's been okay, but I know it was one botch, but the botch he had with not getting his shoulders up, I mean, things like that, and just, I don't know, just isn't always necessarily believable with what he says. I just don't know if he's quite to the level of where he needs to be to continue to be champion. I think his reign's been okay, but not great. I do think the title's more, has made him rather than him making the title. Again, not bad, but just, I think it's time. I think it's time. Otherwise, never would have took that IC belt off of him in the first place. So I do think it's time for Gunther to win this championship. Yeah, I think he needs to do it by cheating. Do we want to just keep having him be by himself? Or, I guess he pretty much kicked those other guys out, so yeah, probably. But I do think he needs to do I don't know, then again, he's all about respecting the mat, but then, he doesn't really respect the mat whenever he chokes a guy out and bell rings, and then he goes back to choking him out. So I think that's great. I think it's like, all right, cool, yep, I respect this ring, but then he does awful, heinous things. It's like, no, you don't. You don't respect anything. Look at what you're doing. I think they should do that. I think you should cheat to win, and just do the old school heel of denying it, and yeah, he can still do the gimmick that he's doing with respecting the mat and all that and yada yada. I haven't been as high on Gunther though as I once was since he's lost that belt, but except for the last 2 or 3 weeks, that brawl a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, right off to start off the show, really got me excited for this match. Damian Priest said he was going to do it by himself. I think maybe it's time to break up the Judgment Day, so maybe, and have Priest go out on his own, have Rhea go out on her own, and by her going out on this would be a little bit of a spoiler for my prediction later, but have her go out on her own because Dom ends up actually siding with Liv Morgan, and maybe it was all a big ruse, or he felt sorry for her. We haven't seen any indication of him feeling sorry for her leading up to this. Maybe we could get some footage afterwards, and unreleased footage, and like, all right, like he came to talk to Liv saying he felt bad for what he did, and then you could show them making out in the locker room, like after it's all said and done, after Dom screws over Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam, you could have that happen. That's how I'd book that match. So I guess we're going to go ahead and mark that down right now. I do think that Liv Morgan retains with the help of Dom. That's how they book it. That's how that goes down. Don't think that'll be necessarily a ref bump. I think maybe it's a ref distraction. Liv pulls the ref in, something here. I don't know. Out comes Dom, and you think that he's going to help Mommy, but then he doesn't. Maybe he's got a chair. Maybe there is a ref bump. Maybe he's got a chair. Looks like he's about to hand it to Mommy, but instead of handing it to her, he hits her with it. Something along those lines, how I'd book that. Liv Morgan retains her championship. And so with that said, breaking the Judgment Day up, Dom's out of the picture with Rhea now. Yes, he's still in the Judgment Day, but then, well, maybe he's not in the Judgment Day because they come out try to help Damian Priest retain, end up costing him the championship, and then Damian Priest has just had enough of it, and maybe he goes off on him there, maybe he goes off on him on Raw 2 days later. But Gunther wins this. I do think we will see the breakup of the Judgment Day after this. Such great TV, everything, so many layers with what's been going on with the Judgment Day for a month or two, or even longer, but really focusing in on the last month or so. They've done a really fantastic job, but I think it's time. I think you let Rhea, Damian, I think you let them all go on their own. Maybe JD and Finn can stay together as tag team champions. You create a storyline around, everybody else left the Judgment Day, but you know what? We're still the Judgment Day. We're a tag team. We're the tag team champions. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can keep Carlito in there too, and it's just them three. So maybe you just break off Rhea, Ripley, and Dom out of the Judgment Day and keep those three as a trios, possibly. Moving on. Bayley, Nia, Jax. I haven't been given my excitement levels. I apologize. I will start with my excitement level. Well, we'll do that. We'll do that at the end. I'll tell you the top 3 matches that I'm most excited for. We'll do that at the end here. My excitement level for this match is not very high. It's not going to make the top 3. They've tried to do a little bit more with Bayley here and there. I just don't think it's been fantastic. So to me, I don't know. Nia winning the Queen of the Ring was pretty halfway decent. Everything been going on with her and Tiffany Stratton. Ooh, maybe that's what happens. I don't think so. I don't think Tiff's going to cash in here, though. I do think Nia will win. Maybe she does. Because, man, the crowd really wants to cheer for Tiffany Stratton. Even though they try to present her as a heel, the crowd really seems to love her. And if Nia Jax wins this thing, and then Tiffany, yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm predicting it. Why not? I think Tiffany Stratton's that ready. I think she's absolutely fantastic. I think out of all 3 of those women that I just mentioned, I think she's the best, has the best opportunity to get me interested in the WWE Women's Championship. So yeah, you know what? Yeah. Nia Jax wins this thing. Tiffany Stratton cashes in on Nia Jax. Now, how would you go about booking that, though? Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you could simply just go with, you know what, Nia just had a grueling match. Like maybe she's showing that her leg's hurt. She's hurt her leg a lot, but then she perseveres through hurting her leg and she hits the little bomb off the corner, wins the match, but then immediately goes just back to just clutching her ankle or her leg. Maybe they could sell like her ankle, maybe she possibly broke it. And maybe if it wasn't broke before, maybe it's broke now after she hit her finish on Bayley and her foot even though it's the butt that lands most of the damage, she still hits her foot. Maybe the announcers could sell that. She's really hurt her ankle. And then so Tiffany Stratton takes advantage of that, cashes in, and then you got Nia Jax. And, of course she's going to be wanting her championship back that she just won. And then you got Bayley, is going to get in on the mix too. So possibly those 3 could have a triple threat match at some point. And you know what? We're going to turn Tiffany the back. I think she's better off as a heel, but the crowd loves her. I love her, but I mean, if it was my job at the show, I would boo her. If they're trying to make her a heel, I would boo her. But it would be hard for me to boo her because I love her, and maybe that's the crowd. Maybe the crowd's like, hell, I know she's supposed to be a bad girl, but I really love her. I'm going to cheer her. I can't help myself. It's kind of where I'm at with Tiffany Stratton. So, you know what? Even though it would be kind of similar to what we've seen with the men's briefcase and Drew McIntyre winning it and then cashing in, Drew McIntyre winning it and then Priest cashing in on him. We've already kind of seen that recently. Well, I mean, that might be a reason for them not to do it, but I'm still doing it. I'm putting the belt on Tiffany Stratton. If you're not going to do it like Seth, Damian Priest did at WrestleMania, like 2 really, really, really great cash-ins, arguably best of all time, then do it at SummerSlam. Next biggest event, do it at SummerSlam. I'm putting that belt on Tiffany to try to revitalize this women's division. That's how I would book it. I think WWE might book it that way, but I think the other way they might book it would be to have Nia win it, and then we do a whole storyline, where Tiffany then teases cashing in on her, and then Nia's like, whoa, you weren't going to cash on me in on me just then, were you? Whoa, what's going on here? And then you can create some friction, more friction between them, because we've already seen it with Tiffany wanting to cash in on Bayley, and then Nia stopping her and saying, no, I'm getting my match at SummerSlam. You're not cashing in now, so you could keep that kind of going. But I don't know. I think WWE's probably smart enough to realize that Bayley and Nia really, I don't know. Or maybe Nia just wins clean. And then, we do maybe see little bits and pieces of what I've been saying. But I guess my predictions and how I'd book it, kind of could be two different things, because prediction is kind of more like how I think, what I think is going to happen based on how WWE, I'm going to predict it. I'm going to try to be right. So I'm thinking, well, how's WWE going to work this thing out? But I really think it's just more fun to tell you how I'd book it. How I'd book it, even though if I think they may or may not do it that way, that's how I'd book it. And with that said, I'm still going official prediction, Tiffany Stratton. I already told you about Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, how I think that's going to go down with Liv retaining the championship. It was all a ruse. And then Dom can even apologize to Liv, saying, I really didn't mean to call you that because I love you so much, but, I hated to do that even though it was fake because I love you so much, yada, yada. Oh, Rhea, you thought those were real tears. Oh, I fooled you, yada, yada, yeah. So, that's how that goes down. Liv Morgan wins with Dom's help. Only other way, if not, that's how I would book it. But if not, then I think Rhea Ripley gets her title back. And now maybe the Judgment Day stays together, but I just don't see Damian Priest winning, so I just don't think that's how it's going to go down. So my official predictions, Liv Morgan. U.S. Championship, Logan Paul, LA Knight. LA Knight, yeah! Logan Paul's kept this title long enough. He's only there part-time. It's time to give LA Knight the championship. Logan Paul, try to screw him over, but it won't work. LA Knight, brass knucks, whatever Logan Paul wants to do, ain't gonna happen. LA Knight wins this thing clean. He is your new United States champion, and the roof will blow off the frickin' place because we've been wanting LA Knight to win a dang title for a long, long time now. Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, and I guess Ilya Dragunov is in there now. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Braun Breaker pins Ilya to win the title. Sami Zayn's not involved. Protect Sami Zayn. Does that hurt Braun Breaker winning it, though, if he just pins Ilya? I'd say yes. So you know what? If it's me, I'm having him pin Sami, winning this thing outright. Having him pin Sami, but why put Ilya in there? Otherwise, just, besides the reason of spotlighting him, and maybe they think he's earned the spot, and he's very damn good. So they'll give him a spot on the card. I like it. Or maybe Ilya hits, here's how I'd book it. Ilya hits Sami with his finisher. Braun Breaker spears Ilya, pins Sami, or hits Sami then with another spear. that works. I would have him, yeah, I'd have Ilya hit Sammy with the move, and then I would have Breaker hit Ilya with the spear, and then boom, cover Sammy 1, 2, 3. Now I was just adding on the extra spear to Sammy to kind of help protect Sammy a little bit, but he'll bounce. Sammy will bounce back. 40, I think he'll go right into the storyline here in the next few months of being right back in there with the bloodline. He'll be just fine. He could lose cleanly and he'll be just fine. I really believe that, because I mean, just look at all the times he's been the underdog and he's ended up being the champion. He'll be just fine. I think Braun Breaker wins that match. I think that's it. I think that's all the matches coming up. I'm going to tell you the matches that I'm most excited for. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, as far as which ones I'm most excited for, I was going to give you my top 3, but I got some ties here. Just kind of going through, and I was marking them down here on my sheet. And we're going to start back at the top. Punk and Drew with Seth, the special guest referee. My excitement level is at an 8. Cody versus Solo Sikoa. My excitement level is at an 8.5, just because we're all waiting on Roman to come back, and I think that's where it's going to happen. So that's going to be the match I'm most. It's not the match per se though that I'm excited for. It's potential what could happen during the match or after the match is over. I do kind of got to bring that into consideration, but I don't know. This is pro wrestling, so I'm going to dictate it however I want. And I'm going to say, with that possibility of Roman coming back somewhere around or in that match, that's the match I'm most excited about seeing because of that. Priest and Gunther, I'm at a 7. Bayley and Nia Jax, I'm going to say a 6. It'd probably be honestly around more like a 4 or so if I didn't think there's a possibility of Tiffany Stratton cashing in. Liv and Rhea, I'm really fascinated by. Was that a ruse or wasn't it a ruse with Liv's tears and Dom saying all those nasty things to her? That's the second thing that I'm most excited about. So I'm going to say that's my second, number 2 match that I'm most excited about. And then Logan Paul and LA Knight. Just because we waited so long for for LA Knight to win a championship, and I think this is the spot against Logan Paul. Again, it's not necessarily the match itself. It's more than just the possibility of just wanting LA Knight to win a championship so dang bad. So, and I love him so much. I'm going to say, yeah, oh, man, I don't know. I can't put that above Punk and Drew, though. No, I got to go Punk, Drew, 3, maybe even 2. IC belt, I'm pretty excited about that one as well, but I'm 7.5. I'm not going to put that in my top 3, though. I'm going to go Cody Solo 1. I know that most people would probably be more, yeah, I guess. I really don't know what's going to happen with Punk and Drew, so I'm going to say that's number 2, then I'm going to say Liv and Rhea is number 3. That's my top 3 matches I'm most excited about for SummerSlam. Now, match of the night prediction. Most shocking moment prediction. I don't think it'll be that big of a shock when Roman comes back, but I think it would be a huge shock if Dom screws over Rhea Ripley. So that is my prediction for most shocking moment of this pay-per-view. As far as match of the night goes, just from a pure wrestling standpoint, I don't know. Priest and Gunther could very well be a banger, but I don't know if Priest always rises to the occasion. Seems like he's prone to a few botches. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't want to say like folds under the pressure, because I really like him, but I think at times, maybe he's just not totally ready to continue his championship run. So I gotta mark him. I gotta mark that one off. Man, Logan Paul and LA Knight, that could be a really good one. I think. With the storyline around it, no, I was gonna go Punk and Drew, but I'm very questionable on how well CM Punk can wrestle. I question it in AEW, and I don't think he did that great. He's been hurt a lot. He's older. He just hasn't been in the ring wrestling. I'm sure he's been training his butt off since he got cleared, but I don't know. I can't really go with that that one from a pure wrestling standpoint. I'm going Intercontinental Championship. I think that will be the show stealer. That's probably going to be match of the night. Match of the night from a pure wrestling standpoint. But can we say that it's match of the night overall? I mean, I guess. What ends up being the match that I'm going to like the most? Going into it, like I said, I'm most excited about, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up being my favorite match of the night. Yeah, man. Oh, man, oh, man. I don't know. Probably because Roman's coming back, but I think Roman maybe comes back after it's over, so I'm going to throw that one out. We're sticking within the rules. I'm going to throw that one out on what ends up being my favorite match. My favorite moment of the night, I will think will be Roman coming back. I think it'll be what everybody's talking about coming out of SummerSlam, so that'll be my moment of the night. But, shoot, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Liv and Rhea. I don't know. Match of the night, yeah, it's pure wrestling standpoint. It's going to be the Intercontinental Championship. I think I'm throwing too many things in here with moment of the night, match of the night, and most excited about. And I just think yeah, what I just said. What I just said. Let's move on. Top 10. We're talking men's, women's, top 10s, and factions coming up. I want to go factions first. We're going to just do the top 5. Honestly, I think you could throw anybody in there for the top 5. Right now I got the Patriarchy, but I really like what the System's been doing, even though they've lost their belts. I know a lot of people haven't been high on the learning tree, but they're kind of getting pushed really hard. I think you got to throw them in there. Other than that, I mean, there's not really a whole other lot of factions that are really standing out. I mean, they're trying to push the Final Testament, but it's just meh. So I'm going to say all those guys are tied for 5th. You can check out my full rankings at thetopropepodcast.com if you want to know officially where I got them, but I think you could really throw anybody in there for those top 5. I think 1 through 4 is a little more clear cut, at least as far as these 4 teams being up there. As far as the order goes, I definitely think the Elite's at 4. Just because I just don't think ever since they did what they did to Tony Khan, I just don't think they've done a really great job following up on that and making them guys, throw their weight around as much as they probably should throw their weight around. We get bits and pieces here and there, but they've kind of just gone back to being like normal wrestlers now. And then they lost to Blood and Guts, so I just kind of like, meh, okay, they're still the tag team champions, but I don't know. Are they really that strong? Yeah. Number 3, I got the Wyatt Sicks. And I want to talk about them in some detail here. What they did that first night, absolutely outstanding. What they've done since, I'm just still kind of like, I don't know how to feel. I want to like it, I want to love it, but I don't love all of it. I've loved some of the vignettes and stuff. VHS tape stuff. I think they did a really good job on Uncle Howdy. Really good job with Rowan. Like getting me emotionally involved with those guys. I didn't really like seeing Uncle Howdy though. Bo Dallas with his mask off one week and posing with the Wyatt Sicks, and the next week he's posing with his mask on. But they did that in opposite of how it was presented, because we've seen him mask off, those guys with their masks on, and then we see him with his, then we don't see Uncle Howdy or Bo Dallas, but we see them, them coming out and unmasking, and now they're getting a match on Monday Night Raw next week, not even a match at SummerSlam. Like, I mean, that tells you all you need to really know right there, is they've not put enough stock into them, that they're not even worthy of a SummerSlam. They don't even think we're excited enough, or that they built them up enough for them to get a SummerSlam match. And I just don't like the fact that they killed Chad Gable. They killed everybody in the back. It looked like they were freaking dead that first week. And I said at the time, I was like, the hell of a way for these guys to debut, but where the hell do we go from here? It's going to be tough to follow that up. And I don't think they've done a really extraordinary job of following that up. Now we hear Adam Pearce talking to Chad Gable like, I figured out who these guys are. And then Adam Pearce like, yeah, I know. They're under WWE contract. Really? They're under WWE contract? After they did what they did on their debut, and then you have security here and there for like 2 or 3 weeks, making sure they don't do anything crazy or take anybody else out, and then guys at ringside are like, oh God, there's another package. Like, what the hell are these guys doing here? And then now it's like, okay, yeah, they're under contract. Okay? I mean, I don't know, man. Unless freaking Adam Pearce is the real mastermind behind this whole thing, which I don't think he has anything to do with it, then what are we doing here? Why are they under contract after they did what they did? It's like they want us to forget about such an impactful, amazing debut. It's like they want us to forget about that now because they're under contract. And maybe it is the best thing if I do try to forget about that, but I don't want to forget about that because it was awesome. So impactful, but what they've done with them since has just kind of been meh. I don't have any reason to get behind Joe Gacy or Dexter Lumis yet. I'm going to give it a chance here. Out of respect for Bray Wyatt and everything that he did, I'm trying to give this Wyatt Sicks a chance. But to be honest with you, it's not doing a whole lot for me. It's mid-card at best, clearly. They don't even get a SummerSlam match. It's mid-card at best, and I just think the way they've been writing it and booking it hasn't really made a whole lot of sense considering what we saw the very first week. And then we do vignettes and VHS tapes, but then we just do one with Nikki Cross for like 10, 15 seconds and we get nothing. I think they went in the wrong order with those VHSs too. I think we should have learned more about Joe Gacy. I think we should have learned more about Dexter Lumis. Then I think we should have learned more about Eric Rowan and Nikki Cross. And no, I don't think we should have been seeing them as much as we did. Like the first couple of weeks with Nikki Cross, going over and handing the VHS, that was cool. But then for a while there, I think the backstage vignettes would have been just fine. To be honest with you, I have no idea. They probably told me, but it hasn't resonated with me on why are we going after, why Chad Gable and the Creed brothers? Why? Because they're a heel group and they want to present the Wyatts as a face group? Give me something better. Give me a better reason than that. This is not a good reason, man. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I missed something there. And I know they were talking about family. And, your family and our family. The family aspect of it. But, I don't know. I just don't know if they needed to really target anybody. Like, they targeted everybody the first week. Then I think this whole time we should have I don't think they should have attacked Chad Gable. He could have just been one of the casualties in the back. I think we should have just kept handing the stuff to the announcers. Could have just kept getting the vignettes, and then eventually we see them come out in the arena again in masks. All come out. Maybe they go after somebody. I would have waited and figured out somebody better for them to come after than Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. I love Chad Gable, but I don't have any reason to really despise the Creed brothers. I don't even, I didn't watch NXT, whatever. I wouldn't even, there's no substance behind them for me to hate them. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense of why they're going after them. I just would have saved all that. I think they've been, not only did they go against the wrong group, but they've been way too much with them being in the ring and then unmasked and then masked. I don't know, it's just, I guess it's played out over a relatively decent long period of time, but it just seems to me like it's just been rushed with unveiling them and what they've done. I think we should have got bits and pieces and hints of that in those VHS tapes, and then eventually we seen them get unveiled. I don't know, maybe it's just me and it's probably not a good thing to do, but I don't know. I would have loved to see some sort of version of the fun house. Like, I know a lot of people are probably happy about it not being so much hocus pocus and stuff like that, and that was one of the criticisms of The Fiend and everything, but to me, I liked most of that stuff. I mean, I understand at the end of the day, like, they're going to have to get in there and wrestle what happens when the lights turn on. Like, I get all that, but guys, The Undertaker had so much mystique and, you know, the mysterious side and the supernatural side of things, and that worked pretty damn well, didn't it? And I would say that Bray Wyatt and everything he did worked pretty damn well. So I don't know if they're going away from that, and these are just going to be wrestlers that have forgotten whoever everybody forgot about. It's like, well, you know, were you really anything that big in the first place? Maybe that's why you got forgotten about. Because I mean, really, all these guys have never had huge successes on their own. Decent success, and I'm not bashing them or going against them. Like, there's levels to the card, and right now they're mid-card, and they've got a bunch of mid-card guys, and they're in the mid-card. Still interesting, but I think if you're trying to honor Bray Wyatt's legacy, we got to be better than that. We got to be more than that, and I'll continue to give it time and continue to have hope that it'll get there. Number 2, I got the Bloodline, and number 1, I got the Judgment Day. Those two have gone back and forth. I just put the Judgment Day ahead of them right now just because there's layers and to what they're doing and just so much going on within the Judgment Day. It's all very fascinating to me, and the Bloodline's, you know, the Bloodline's dominant, but not really a whole lot of deep layers to the thing. I think they could be very well be right back to number 1 when Roman returns, and then when the real Bloodline reforms, I think they'll be number 1. But for now, I got Judgment Day 1. I got the Bloodline at number 2. All right, women's and men's top 10. I'm not going to do tag teams. I just don't think tag teams have been all that strong of late at all for anybody. I just don't really think anybody's really separating themselves from anybody else. Maybe is it Tonga and Jacob Fatu? Maybe if they win the belts, like I could believe in them and get behind them being number 1. But you can check those out if you want to, thetoropropodcast.com. Number 10, women. I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quick. We've already talked about a decent number of these girls, ladies. Number 10, I got Nia Jax. Number 9, I got Bianca Belair. Number 8, Bianca Belair. Number 8, I got Jade Cargill. They've slipped since they've lost those tag team titles, and they want to get them back. I get that, but to me, like, man, I don't know. I don't know if I really want them to see them get it back. I mean, if they got nothing else for them, sure, but really, both of those ladies belong in the main event picture for the singles women. But until they get back to doing that, they're probably going to be right where they're at. I don't think they'll fall out of the top 10, but I don't think they'll get much higher than where they are now until we see them start to do some singles activities together, or at least get back to being the dominant tag team champions that they were. Number 7, I got Britt Baker. I think it's been her return to AEW has been pretty darn solid. She had a great first match back against Shida a couple weeks ago. Really interested in her and Mercedes Moné at All In. We'll have that prediction show coming up in a few weeks as well. 25 days away from that now. Number 6, I got Bayley, even though, like I said, I haven't been really high on her. Like, I still put her up there because she is the champ. Like, yeah, am I more interested in Britt Baker? Yes. But, you know, what quantifies my top 10? Everything does. It's professional wrestling. Anything can happen. So I have Bayley ahead of her right now just for the simple fact that she is the champ. Other times, I may not. Other times, I may not. I may have other people. If they've done enough to get past them, even though they're the champ, then by all means. But I don't know. I don't think any of those other girls have done enough right now to get past Bayley. And the championship does have some merit. So even though I'm really liking Britt Baker right now, she's had one match since she's been back. So, you know, go win me that championship at All In, and you probably be right in front of Bayley. Number 6, I got Tiffany Stratton. Talked a lot about her. Love her. Wait a minute. Number 6, I got Bayley. Number 5, I got Tiffany Stratton. Number 4, I got Mercedes Moné. I think she's been a great addition to AEW, doing some really solid work. Like I said, I'm really excited for her and Britt's match at All In. Number 3, I got Toni Storm. Her coming back, been great. She's still the champ. And by the way, I did have Mariah May at 11. Really like what she's doing lately as well. I'm super pumped for that matchup. I've been high on Mariah May since she first came in there with Toni Storm. Really a big fan. Both those women. Some people would argue, Toni Storm's character, Timeless Toni Storm, maybe getting a little stale. Maybe we see a different layer of the Timeless Toni Storm, more crazy layer. Like she could still be Timeless Toni Storm. She doesn't have to go fully back to just being Toni Storm, but she can be an even crazy, because we've seen that at times, her get a little bit crazy when things don't go her way as Timeless Toni Storm. I think she can remain Timeless Toni Storm, but take it to a whole different level of crazy, losing her shit. Number 2, I got Rhea Ripley. Number 1, I got Liv Morgan. We've talked a lot about those women, so let's move on and wrap this thing up. Don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe, guys. All that good jazz. Much obliged. For the men, at number 10, I still yeeting all over myself. I got Jey Uso. At number 9, I got Solo. Jey Uso don't even have a SummerSlam match, does he? Probably can't. I probably can't put him in. I can't keep him in the top 10 if he doesn't even have a match, right? Maybe I've just talked so much now I'm forgetting about it, but I don't think he does. No. No. No, you know what? I'm going to put Will Ospreay back in there at 10. Swerve's not in there. I got Swerve at 12. I'm going to put Will Ospreay at 10, Solo at 9. It's because I do think the last month has gotten a whole lot better with the Bloodline 2.0. At number 8, I have MJF. He was way down there, about to fall out of the top 25, and then thank God they turned him back heel. I'll admit I was wrong. Appears as if I was wrong. It looks like he definitely was supposed to win now what they're calling the American Championship, not the International Championship. I really thought that it was supposed to look like to me, for reasons that I've already explained on previous podcasts, that MJF was not supposed to win that match against Ospreay, that it was supposed to be a draw just because, like I said, the ref's arm, and he's looking at the clock and he counts. I guess that arm is real slow. They don't immediately announce MJF. His music doesn't immediately hit. For those reasons, I didn't think he was supposed to win, but it looks like clearly he was. So we got the American Championship out of this. I don't know what they're doing there with that International Championship. Will Ospreay, like pulled it out of the trash? So are they going to keep it? Are they not going to keep it? It's just crazy. You got MJF being a heel. They're in the USA. But, I thought MJF the other night on Dynamite did a really fantastic job getting the crowd, making sure the crowd doesn't cheer for him. Yeah, we had a USA chant, and Will Ospreay acknowledged it, like, guys, I get it, get the home country pride. I got a lot of pride for my home country. Like, they had a lot of things to kind of duck and dodge their way around in order for people not to cheer MJF, because there was a few cheers for him at the very beginning, but by the end of it, it was clear they were pretty darn against MJF. I still think they got a little bit to go. They still got to keep going and going and going to fully get him back into being full on. Everybody hates him. And not everybody, is going to, but I think that we can get into the level where all the boos are drowning out any cheers that he might get. But thank God they turned him back to a heel. I do like him as the American champion, and I like the fact we're getting a rematch at All In. And then number 7, I got LA Knight. I already talked a lot about him. 6, I got Gunther. Same with him. 5, CM Punk. 4, Damian Priest. 3, Seth Rollins. 2, Drew McIntyre. And number 1, I do still have Cody Rhodes. We've already talked a lot about those in the SummerSlam preview. So I'm going to leave that right where it is and say thank you for joining me on this episode of the Top Rope Podcast. Guys, if you like what you see and hear, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and give me a subscribe. Let's try to get to 50 after this, on this Top Rope Podcast channel here on YouTube. Appreciate it, guys. thank you very much. You want to check out my other content, that's all up at Gary Martin Media. I'll probably post this to Gary Martin Media as well. But yeah, man, thanks for being on here. Thanks for checking me out, guys. If you lasted all the way to this point, just really want to say thank you. Thank you for watching the whole thing. Enjoy SummerSlam this weekend. Let me know what match are you guys most excited for. Let me know in the comments, guys. Anything you want to talk about when it comes to a little wrestling, hit me up in the comments. God bless.